Hi, this is Suhailah, and this is Grow With Me by Suhailah, the podcast. And this is season 2, episode 2, and the name of this episode is ReWrite It. ReWrite It. And I want to take a minute to dedicate this episode to my mother, my fabulous, amazing mother who passed away on Good Friday, April 2nd, 2021, which was Good Friday that year, which was the beginning of Easter weekend. And I am releasing this episode on Easter Sunday. So I thought it was appropriate. I was going to dedicate it to her anyway. But I think it's even more so appropriate because if I had to sum up this episode and what it means what it looks like to consciously take control and rewrite your own story, the rest of your life, what you want the rest of your life to look like, which can happen at any moment. And I think a lot of times we're so focused on the manifestation part, right? Like, oh, quote unquote, we manifested this, we created this, all of these words and this language that we use. But there's mastery in that, right? There's mastery in that. But I think the other part of the mastery is developing the habit and the skill to catch yourself whenever you are going down a path that does not align with where you want your life to be. And the path could be just a thought path, like how are you thinking, and then how are you being, and how are you acting. All of these things are connected. So to me, it's what it looks like to take control of our own narrative, take the wheel, be a captain of our own ship, the captain of our own ship, the master of our own destiny. And Easter stands for resurrection and forgiveness and hope and new life. And that's what I'm talking about, new life. What do we want the next part of our life to look like, despite what might have come before, in spite of what has come before, or because of what has come before? And my mother represented that in so many ways. She wrote her life over at least one time, but many, many times. I know because she was my friend and we shared these stories. She told me so much. I've learned things about her from other people, but I take what she told me as the truth of her life. And she was so good at that. She rewrote her life and she created a new story for herself. And so it's even more appropriate that I am dedicating this episode to her. My mother's name was Mahmouda Young. Mahmouda was her Arabic name. Mahmouda was the name she took for herself when my father and her converted into Islam, that when they became Muslim, right before their first child was born, of their 6, me being number 5 of 6. And my mother had 6 kids by the time she was 29 years old. So that was the name she took. Mahmouda Young was her married name from her second marriage after my father. So Mahmouda Young was the name that she had when she passed away. That name, Mahmouda, means praiseworthy, commendable. It means the praised one. So I praise you, Mahmouda. Umi is what we called her. Umi is mother, mommy in Arabic. And Diane was the name she was born with. Mahmouda is the name that she exited this realm with when she passed away in 2021. But she was born into this world, Diane Clark, with an E, Clarke. And Diane means divine and heavenly and luminous. And it comes from the Roman goddess Diana. It's the deity of the moon and hunting and nature. And it symbolizes strength and grace and an independent spirit, which she was. And I can tell you every single thing I just said for both the name Mahmouda and the name Diane. Every single thing that I just named, every single attribute, every single meaning that I just named for both Mahmouda and Diane, my mother was 100% and so much more. So Diane, Umi, Mahmouda, my love, I dedicate this episode to you. I love you and I miss you. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy listening. I hope you enjoy it. Write a new script, write a new script, write a new script, write a new script for your life. I was journaling this morning. Just now, I was journaling for the past maybe for 40 minutes or so. I was actually doing affirmations. Sometimes I see affirmations as an invitation to invite something to happen, not trying to make something happen. So for a long time, I didn't believe in affirmations. I thought they were silly. I thought they can't really do much. But two things I've learned: the power of repetition is really important for the subconscious mind to start programming new things, new statements, new ideas, new pathways, new directions into your mind. That is what repetition does. You are giving it new directions. It's like you have to reset your GPS over and over and over and over and over until it knows this is the new direction we're going in. So I was doing that this morning, meaning I was doing affirmations this morning, my idea of affirmations, which I said it's an invitation to have something happen, not trying to make something happen, right? So I view affirmations as a welcoming, like I welcome this new idea. I welcome this new thought pattern. That's what I started to see affirmations as a few years ago and when I started to use them. So I was just doing affirmations this morning as part of my journaling practice. I did 50 in a row, a statement that I repeat over and over and over, but I find that there was a power in writing. So as I was doing that, I heard, write a new script. So I decided to make this podcast episode about that. And a couple of other thoughts came to mind about this. There's something that I heard from Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you don't know who Joe Dispenza is, you can look him up. I read one or two of his books years ago when he first really came on the scene popular. I haven't really looked at his stuff too much in recent times, but at the time it really served me. And one of the things I remember him saying in one of his books, which I believe was Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I believe that's the beginning name of the book. But he said, this statistic data that he heard, and I have since heard it from many other people in different ways, but we think 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are the same ones we thought yesterday. 90% of them are the same ones we thought yesterday. I want to say that one more time. 90% of them are the same ones we thought yesterday. Meaning there is literally nothing happening new. Nothing new is happening. So when we think we are in a new day and all we're doing is having repeated thoughts from yesterday or yesteryear or last year or whatever, we're not doing anything new. That was the first thought that came to my mind a little while ago after I thought about this write a new script thing. The second one was, an idle mind is the devil's playground. An idle mind is the devil's playground. An idle mind is the devil's playground. It is so true. When your mind is still, it will just repeat and repeat. It can only pull from the data, let's just use modern day language, that is inside of you, which is our subconscious. Our subconscious is everything that we ever have known, felt, believed, haven't believed, thought, experienced. It's all stored in our subconscious like the cloud. So when your mind is idle, it can only pull from this sort of it's like this thing behind us, this program that's running behind us. It's very quiet, right? It's just how the internet is always there, right? The internet is always there, but you're either logged into it or you're logged out of it. You're either on it or off it, but it's always there, the technology for it. So it's the same thing. Our subconscious is this stored, it's like Google. Google is always there. Google is there right now, at least, right? And you're either going to put a prompt in or you're not going to put a prompt. Or let's say AI. If you use AI, you can either going to put a prompt in right now or you're not going to put a prompt in right now, right? But it's there. It exists. Our subconscious exists. It's there, like the ocean. So we're either tapped into it or we're not, consciously tapped into it or we're not. So when our mind is unconsciously running programs because our mind is idle, we don't have anything to do, we are just scrolling or we are just not using it in any active way. We are not an active participant, even though it feels like we might be. We are letting yesterday and what we see and the flow of the river that we're in have its way with us, because we are not being the master of our ship. We are not being the captain of our ship. We're not being the captain of our ship. So there's no mastery here. There's no mastery in that, because we are not learned to captain our own ship. So when we have an idle mind is the devil's playground. That thought came to me. When we have an idle mind, that's subconscious. All that stuff that's already stored there, it's just there. We just have access to it. And it'll just come back up. It'll just come back up almost like vomit. It'll just come back up like something regurgitating over and over and over, because we are not taking control of it, and we're just letting it have its way with us. So I understand that phrase, because if your mind is just sitting idle and you are not actively doing something with it, there are two ways to actively do something with it. You can just actively do something with it in a mindless way, meaning it's habitual. It's just a habitual thing that you do because you just do it on automatic, like muscle memory. But it's not anything new. Back to Joe Dispenza's quote, and data and information, 90% of the same thoughts we thought yesterday. We are not creating anything new. So we have to take control. We have to be the captain of our own ship, the captain of our own destiny, the shepherd of our own path. We have to. And writing our own script, literally. Get a pad. I think there is such power in writing. Thinking it's hard to, and I'm a strong thinker, and I think big, but it's hard to have things going. When you think, it doesn't really go in order, right? You start thinking, then another thought comes out of nowhere, and then another thought, and then you don't even remember what you were originally thinking. You're somehow off the path. So unless you really know how to use your mind in that way, your thinking mind, your thinking facility, it can feel like you're all over the place in your thoughts. You sit down to think one thing, and then it's the same thing why most people can't meditate, right? You sit down to be quiet, and then a thought comes, and another thought comes, and another thought comes, and you forgot you were even trying to meditate, and you just get up, or you're like, forget about it. Or when you're trying to think of one thing, and then all these other thoughts, you're like, I can't concentrate, I can't focus. So you just stop. So I think there is a real power in writing. I find, I'm a writer, obviously. I write, have a book, I dream. I have 10,000 pages of dreams that are becoming my next book that I've been recording as a spiritual journaling process for the past 13 years, without even knowing that it was going to become anything, without even knowing I would ever go back and look at my dreams, without even knowing that there's a story in my dreams, without even knowing that I had 10,000 pages until I gathered them all, and they're still continuing. So I'm a writer. Writing comes easily to me. It's not tedious for me. It's I use my hand, my written words, on a pen and a paper. And I really think it's really important that we do that. There's something that gets imprinted. It's like putting it down. It's like planting the seed. When we take a pen to paper, I like blue pen. But I used to like black, but lately I've really liked blue. There's something about seeing the blue on the actual paper. But when we take a pen to paper and we write it down with our own words, not with AI, with our own words on a piece of paper, and we write the new script for what we want our life to be, what we want our day to be, what we want our world to feel like, look like, be like. Write it in a paragraph, write it in a chapter, make it a chapter of your own life, write it down. You don't have to be an author to do this. Write it down. We have to start creating a new narrative for the life we want to live, for what we want to feel, for who we want to be, for how we want to impact people, for how we want to spread our light, spread our love, spread our frequency. And I think it starts with the power of not only our own mind, right? Getting control of those thoughts. 90% of the thoughts I thought today are the same ones I thought yesterday. That's like trash to me. What is the point of that? That feels like, when I remember hearing that statistic and feeling so annoyed, like, what is this repetitive, literal hamster wheel we will find ourselves on? So we have to write a new story. If you believe creation starts with imagination like I do, And it starts with thoughts first coming to you, right? If you look around, anything that we see, even the phone you might be listening to this on, the computer, the headphones, the iPad, however you're listening to this, it was in someone's mind first. Whatever you're listening to this on, whether it's an app, whether it's a phone, whether it's a computer, the technology that deliver it was someone's thought and idea first. It was someone's thought and idea first. We have to really, really wrap our mind around that. What we're sitting on at this moment, what that is sitting on, a floor, what that is sitting in, a building or a house, these were all someone's thoughts first. Thoughts. So we cannot deny that everything starts with thoughts, creativity, imagination, and then you take the steps, you take the steps, you take the steps. So what we call manifest is just, it's inspired thought becoming action, and then it's manifested, ta-da, like magic, not really, but in the real world. That is manifestation. There's no trick, right? It's thought and feeling to creation in the manifested material plane. But that whole process is the creation process. The whole entire process is the creation process, beginning with the first inkling of a thought, the first inkling of an idea. So to me, by the time it appears in physical form, that's the finished thing. To me, that's the end, not the beginning. It's the end. Okay, ta-da. So then now, what do I want to create next? Now, what do I want to do next? So to me, doing this exercise of sitting, writing, focusing with a pen, your thoughts, your ideas, putting your pen to paper and deciding what you want your life to look like. And then how do you want that life to impact someone else's life in a positive way? And then how do we want all of this to impact the world we want to live in? That's what we need to be doing right now. We need to be intentional about creation. We need to be intentional about this world we want to see. And we start with ourselves, and we start with writing a new script. Writing a new script. We cannot have the same thoughts be the ones we thought yesterday, 90% of them. We need to have new thoughts, because thoughts is how creation starts. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for listening. If you are interested in journeying with me a little bit further or a little bit longer, there are a few ways that you can do that. One of the ways is my leadership course. It is called Feminine Leadership, Leading from the Inside Out. It is a mini course. It is self-guided. It is soft. It is gentle. It is easy. You can do it anywhere. It's a PDF. You can download it. It is not the traditional leadership language mumbo jumbo. It's not heavy hitting. It's not heavy. It's not heady. And it's easy to download, and it's on Gumroad. So wherever you are listening to this podcast, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Podcasts, wherever you are, in every episode you will see an episode description. Beneath the description, down below, but before you get to my bio, which is all the way at the bottom, between those two areas, you will see a bunch of links. Amongst those links is the link for Feminine Leadership, Leading from the Inside Out. You can click there. It will take you to Gumroad, and you can download it right now. It's priced at $37. Quick and simple, easy, breezy. If you're interested, check it out. I also have a book, Awaken the Brand by Suhailah, Unleash Your Personal Potential Through Building Your Brand. I like to say this book is personal development meets brand development, powered by spiritual intelligence. So whether you have an actual business brand or just a personal brand that's also a business, or just a personal brand that's just you, I define a brand as a promise. So whatever that is for you, it does not have to be a business that is a business where you are generating money or trying to generate money. It's just about how we show up in the world through our businesses, through our brand. I'm really using brand as a path to higher consciousness. That's really what it is. I'm using business and brand as a path to higher consciousness. I use that word because it's something that everybody understands, but it really literally is also a business and brand book. So however you want to look at it, however you're approaching it, whether it's for yourself personal, whether it's for yourself because you actually have a personal brand, like you're a public speaker, or whether you're a thought leader and you actually are building a personal brand, or that is your business, or whether you have an actual product service brand. It's for everybody. So you can also check that down below. I have another course. It's also called Awaken the Brand. It's what the book came from. The course came first. The book came second. So you can check that out below. That's on Teachable and Gumroad as well. And then I have a newsletter called Spark by Suhailah, and it is on Substack. those are all of my offerings. If you're interested in any of them, you will find them below. Have a wonderful day. Sending you light and love.